KGAB Mornings on AM 650 KGAB.
And good morning, Cheyenne. 8:11 is your time here on KGAB Mornings. Good Friday morning to you, man. We have got the sun up. Everything is just looking beautiful outside. Great day to kick off for the Home and Garden Show, brought to you by Patio Splash and KGAB. Will be down at the Cheyenne Ice and Event Center. It kicks off at 11 o'clock today. Of course, a lot of people are down there setting up right now and getting things ready to roll for the great event this weekend. So hopefully it'll give you an opportunity to get outside and check out some of the great businesses that we have here in the Cheyenne area. Well, in studio we have with us the folks from the Wyoming, I just got a brain cramp. The Wyoming Liberty Group. There we go. Wyoming Liberty Group. We have Mr. Higginbottom here with us today, and we're going to be talking about some of the updates from the last time that we talked on Plan Cheyenne. We saw that the city, the city kind of rammed it through, whereas the county took a closer look at it. And Boyd Wiggum, there we go, Boyd Wiggum is here to talk about that. Good morning, Boyd.
Good morning, Gary.
So tell us, what's the scoop? There's a lot of things that have happened since the last time you were in the studio with us here on KGAB Mornings. One of the things that I've observed, and a lot of callers have observed, and a lot of people in Cheyenne have observed, that the city council was pretty stiff-necked in passing this Plan Cheyenne, whereas the county commissioners actually took a deep breath, got oxygen to the brain, took a look at Plan Cheyenne, and said, hey, there's some things in here that we don't like. We are going to amend them. So now we have the city pushing it through as is. We have the county taking a comprehensive look at it and making some, in a lot of people's minds, some really good, intelligent decisions and amendments. Where are you in the middle of all this, or what is your observation, sir?
Well, I have to say that I have a slightly different take on what I saw happening. I want to start off by commending Commissioner Amber Ash and the people she worked with when the county adopted Plan Cheyenne. They did so with the inclusion of over 100 amendments that Commissioner Ash put together from various sources, and that took a lot of work, and it was impressive.
Wait a minute, you mean as a county commissioner you have to work to earn your $40,000 a year?
I thought it looked like she did a lot of work, and
she did.
Yes,
she did. Hats off.
And from what I see, all the commissioners do, there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of hustling, a lot of reading, a lot of thinking and talking. As for the city, I have a slightly different take than that they were stiff-necked. What I saw was they adopted it with some amendments, but they were all amendments that they considered the week before during a committee of the whole meeting. And one of the amendments that the city and the county both adopted was to make it easier to change the plan in the near term, and I think that opens the door for looking at some of the changes the county made, but to go through a committee process and to be a little more deliberative about it, rather than amendments that show up on the floor at the time of the final vote.
We're talking with Boyd Wiggum from Wyoming Liberty Group here on KGAB Mornings. So, Boyd, what do you think is going to be the next step for the city council, knowing that the county commissioners took the time to digest and amend? What kind of pressure is this putting on city council?
I fully expect either the planning commission or the city council to take a look at the amendments that the county commission adopted and to determine which of those they want to adopt in the city and which they maybe do not. Some of the amendments that the county commission adopted, my understanding or my impression was that the county thought that they were more appropriate for the city to address, but not quite as appropriate for the county. And so I expect to see these amendments appear on the city agenda, probably sooner rather than later.
So, in your opinion, what was the role of the public participation in the changes that were adopted? to Plan Cheyenne?
Those changes were public driven. From what I've seen, and as I look through the amendments, they very clearly reflected input from the public. There were some changes that were in Commissioner Ash's amendments that I recognized as things that I had put forward and said that I thought needed changed, and they were there. I recognized them.
Well, let me ask you this: have you've been to city council meetings?
I have.
Okay, I have too. And I know that when the public's gotten up there and they've had concerns, I've seen city council members look them right in the face and absolutely vote against it. No discussion. They leave discussion open at the end. A lot of people have sat there. 120 people show up at a city council meeting. They give them very little time. Some of these guys have it made up in their mind that, bless God, we're going to do what we want to do anyway. But hats off again to the county commissioners that said, hey, we represent you, the people. We don't think you're some kook fringe. We are going to take a closer look in humility, and we're going to make amendments as we see fit. In other words, they're having a conversation with their constituents. Haven't seen that so much with city council. You seem to want to defend them. So tell me your experience in going before city council on some of these issues.
Well, there's two or three things that I think are really important for people to understand if they want to become involved in the political process, in the public process. First, you need to know what you're talking about, and I mean understand what the sentences say, the paragraphs say, not just what the general idea that a legislature...
In other words, leave your talking points at home, be able to dissect and point out the problems or the pros and cons of it without just using talking points.
Exactly. Secondly, become involved earlier rather than at the last minute. This is especially the case for the city. For the county commission, an item like this only appears on their agenda once. It's a one-time up or down vote. The city council's process looks much more like the legislature, where the city council will actually see and review an ordinance up to 3 times, and will also have a committee discussion where what they're looking at gets dissected, where they dissect it. And that doesn't happen at the county commission either. And that's where a lot of the feedback and input and discussion happens, so that by the time you get to third reading at the city council or the final reading at the city council, it's been vetted fairly thoroughly by that point. So any additional information that would completely change things is a little bit late. You're showing up to the station a little late. It's like trying to catch an airplane when you arrive at departure time.
Gotcha. We're talking with Boyd Wiggum here from the Wyoming Liberty Group. You're listening to KGAB Mornings. Your time's 8:19 under partly clouds here in the capital city. Hope you're having a great morning. Grab some coffee. We'll be back right after this. Hey, good morning, Cheyenne. 8:21 is your time here on KGAB Mornings. Gary Freeman, your host here on a sunny Friday. We're having a great time here this morning, especially with the sun out and Friday. Man, you can't beat it. Of course, I did work with a girl that Fridays and sunny days always got her down. She liked Mondays and snow. Go figure. AM 650 KGAB, and we are back in the studio with Boyd Wiggum. If you'd like to be on the phone, if you'd like to be on the program today, actually, 632-6500 or 632-3323. Boyd, welcome back. We've been talking about kind of the bipolar effect, if you will. Not exactly bipolar, but somewhat, of how City Council took Plan Cheyenne and they were willing to just ramrod the thing through, and the county commissioners actually took some time to digest the thing and make some amendments, and it really was a blessing to the public. Speaking of the public, we're going to take a phone call. Hi, you're on KGAB Mornings with Boyd Wiggum.
Good morning, Gary. I'd like, if you would, tell us what changes that you think that should have been made to that plan that the stiff-necked City Council, as you call them, didn't make. And Boyd, what were the changes that the commission made, the ones that you recognized?
To start off with, two of the changes that the county commission made that I recognized pertain to housing and housing affordability. I had, throughout the entire process, I had asked for the city and the county to ask for data, ask for them to collect data about how long it took to get a project through the process and to try to track housing affordability better than the plan had already envisioned, and they included that. I had also suggested some limitations on the complete streets application, so that if they want to do their complete streets, that the MPO, that the transportation people wanted to have in the plan, and I can respect that, that design be limited to non-principal arterials.
And let me weigh in. This isn't my part of the program, but I'd be glad to answer the caller. There are actually a lot of things, but I'm going to keep it very brief. One of the things Plan Cheyenne had doing was totally rearranging the south side, and I don't even live on the south side, but I went down there to support them. They got themselves a lawyer and put that down. They were actually going to take property to where people's would have to go around to the back of the businesses in order to go in. And there is a man on the city council that is a businessman and has business down there. And once he actually caught wind after he voted for it, began to renege on it. Eminent Domain was involved with that, along with putting an island down the middle, which they destroyed back in the 60s because they found out it didn't work. Plan Cheyenne wanted to resurrect that thing again. Plus, taking away property, bike lanes, all these things, trying to narrow in other property. And basically, my main deal with it is people's property rights are being violated. When you tell me I can't put a political sign out in front of my yard, or I have to limit it to one or two, don't dig that too much. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I could explore more, but this is Wyoming Liberty Group's time with Boyd Wiggum, and we'll take another call. Hi, you're on KGAB Mornings.
Yes, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. I attended some of those meetings, and I agree. The city council, the meetings I attended, there was 2 members that voted no on the Plan Cheyenne and the MPO, or the MPO portion, and I give them a pat on the back. But the rest of the city council members, they need to be replaced in the next election, because they just stood up there like lords overseeing the serfs. And also, I wanted to point out, the city and county both, they have their hands out for the federal grants, and my concern is, even though Cheyenne is growing, they don't have the population base or the property base to support the plans after the grant money is run out. And they're going to go back and hold their hands out again. And like I said, there's not a base to support all the improvements that everybody wants to do, and I don't think they have considered that in a very big way. Another concern, like people have pointed out in years past, is Cheyenne in the county does not have the water supply to have much more growth. So I don't think they're looking at this stuff on a real serious basis. They just want the money, in my opinion.
All right.
So I'll go ahead and hang up.
Thanks for the phone call. Yep, that is a big concern, Boyd, about money. You know, they say, well, we're just getting our own tax dollars back. Well, that's fine and well, but come on, let's be honest. You know there's going to be strings attached. We have to do certain things with that money in order to get it, and the public's just not digging it.
Yeah, and that was one of the discussions that was ongoing throughout the entire process, is whether the money was worth what came with it, and I think that was one of the things that you saw the final vote on was, yes, yes, we
We can't deny that part of it.
Yeah.
We cannot deny it. Okay, we're going to get whatever it was, 114 million or whatever the total cost was. We don't need exact figures. But then if they're going to say, well, you can have the money, but you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to take this away, you have to compromise, you have to give up your rights, and on, the public's just not with that. But the city is rubbing their hands together, saying, hey, more cash, more cash, more cash. But you got to look at the whole thing. And to be in denial that there are not going to be prerequisites that are attached to it, I agree with the caller. If you're on city council and you don't see that, don't run for re-election.
I can tell you what one of the real big examples of strings attached is. If Cheyenne wants money for the fixed route transit system, it's a subsidized system. One of the federal requirements is that you also offer curb to curb rides for those who need it. And that's fairly expensive. That was in the plan, and that was one of the things that got discussed in that context and has a separate standalone document that's going through the process. That's an example of strings attached.
All right, we're talking with Boyd Wiggum here on KGAB Mornings. Hang in there, hang tough. We are going to take some of your phone calls. We've got a hard break coming up, as you can tell. It is Friday morning. The sun is out. Some of you are going to be bailing out of those cubicles about 10 or 11 o'clock. It's called flex time, baby. Well, if you're flexing out, keep it right here. We got a pretty lively discussion. We'll get to those phone calls. Please hang on the line, or you can call back at 632-6500 or 632-3323. We've got the Home and Garden Show coming underway at 11 o'clock today. We're going to be heading down there as well. Your time is 8:30 on KGAB Mornings, Cheyenne's #1 News Talk Radio. Good morning. And good morning, Cheyenne. 8:41 is your time on a sunny Friday morning right here in the capital city on Cheyenne's #1 News Talk Radio, AM 650 KGAB and KGAB.com. Don't forget, head on down to the Home and Garden Show today. Kicks off at 11 o'clock. We'll be there all weekend, so we hope to shake your hand, take some pictures, and give you a chance to check out all the cool merchandise and what have you that's out there at the Home and Garden Show today. In the studio with us, we have Boyd Wiggum. He is with the Wyoming Liberty Group, and we've been talking about Plan Cheyenne and the way the city council handled it and the way the county commissioner handled it. And we do have a phone call. Let's go to the phone. Hi, you're on Boyd Wiggum. Good morning.
Good morning. Sometime back, you had a woman on here from Fort Collins, and she was talking about this Plan Fort Collins. And she said in Fort Collins, when they did it, they banned all mobile home parks. Is that true?
All right, thanks for your phone call. Boyd?
I am not aware of a zoning district in the city of Cheyenne that permits mobile home parks. I don't know what they've got in the county. That's something I would have to look up. I can't give you an answer, but...
All right, very good. Let's take another phone call. Hi, you are on KGAB Mornings with Boyd Wiggum. It's your turn.
Good morning, Gary. This is Ben Bennett. How are you guys?
Well, good morning, Ben Bennett. How are you, sir?
Hello.
I'm pretty good. I've got a little bit of a rant to go through, not too long. But if anybody out here thinks that the county commissioners, other than Commissioner Hazenauer, has anything to do with stopping or putting the amendments into the amendments from Plan Cheyenne out there to everybody, they're sadly mistaken.
All right, thanks for the call, Boyd. So you were talking about amendments a little bit earlier and how Amber Ash had taken some time to take a look at these things. What were some of your other observations with that?
Well, not only did I recognize things that I had asked for, but there were approximately 140 amendments that the county commission went through and adopted as proposed by Commissioner Ash, and then they also evaluated and considered something like 17 amendments that I think were introduced by Commissioner Hassenauer on behalf of the South Cheyenne Community Development Association that South Cheyenne asked to be included, and I believe they adopted 2 of those. Some of them they thought were redundant. Some I don't know what the reasoning was.
Sure.
But there were 2 sets of amendments to the plan that the county commission went through and considered.
All right, great. Hi, you are on the phone with Boyd Wiggum from Wyoming Liberty Group. Good morning. It's your turn.
Gary, I'm still here. This is Ben.
Okay. Let me go to another call. Sorry about that, Ben. Hi, you're on KGAB Mornings with Gary Freeman. It's your turn.
How you doing?
I'm well.
I spent a lot of time in Fort Collins, and yeah, they've made a diligent effort to shut down trailer parks by selling them, buying them out, condemning them, making it hard for poor people to find a place to live. But just spend 3 months in Fort Collins, and you'll learn of all the draconian and intrusive laws that city has to offer. You're only allowed to have so many people in your home. If you have a derelict car, you cannot park it out on the road. You cannot keep it parked on your own property. A whole litany of things, and that's exactly what Cheyenne is trying to impose on us. And the culture up here is a whole lot different than it is in Fort Collins, and a lot of people up here just aren't into intrusive violations of their property rights and their free speech rights, and they're going to learn the hard way, I guess, how it works up here.
Hey, thanks for the phone call.
All right, thanks.
All right, Boyd, I think that's the long and short of a lot of the argument in the community.
I agree. And that's the long and short of a lot of the discussion.
Well,
about
I think what you need to
Cheyenne
do is see if your company will pay for you to go down to Fort Collins for 3 months, rent an apartment seriously, and get a feel for what's going on so you can bring that back to the table here at Cheyenne KGAB Mornings.
You're asking me to make an awfully big sacrifice.
I think it's a bigger sacrifice when city council and county commissioners don't listen to the people and they start taking government money and doing away with our property rights. What do you think?
Well, I think we've got a constitution in place to help protect property rights, and when they do cross the line, that's also what I'm
What
here for.
happens when they kind of bypass the Constitution, write it into law? You know as well as I do, it's very difficult to roll that back.
But it can happen. I think we kind of proved that earlier this year when the city council tried to bypass the Constitution when it came to political signs in yards.
You bet. And
that time has arrived. I know of signs that are in yards now, and they certainly wouldn't have been allowed under the old system. But something I want to talk about going forward is I don't think that this whole Plan Cheyenne thing is finished before the city council, and part of public participation is go ahead and contact your city councilman and ask that they place the amendments in the system for consideration by the city, the amendments that the county commission considered. They've got that ability. I think that there's some of the changes the county commission made that the city probably needs to consider and make just because of the federal requirement that you have a consistent plan, a regional plan. Right now, for us, a region is defined as.
But doesn't that take away the? What does the federal government care what we're doing in the state of Wyoming? We have 10th Amendment, right? Wrong?
Well, yeah, but this has to do with the actual transportation planning, the corridors, where are the streets, how big are the streets?
If we take the money.
If we take the money, and I think both bodies decided that they want the money for the streets, and I'm not going to argue with them as I drive around and dodge potholes.
No, I hear you. Hi, you are on KGAB Mornings with Boyd Wiggum. It's your turn.
Hey, good morning, Gary. Good morning, Boyd.
Good morning.
Here. Hey, got to give a lot of credit to Stacy Lynn, Lord Jeffries, and the Southside and South Cheyenne Community Development Association, and the town hall meetings. See, none of this would never been brought to public attention without the town hall meetings. And these 133 amendments that were put in for the county, all right, yes, it's some of the first steps to the 1,000-mile journey. Maybe it's only 100 miles, but yes, Boyd, you're right. It's not over with yet. And we have to stay on top of it, and we have to be vigilant on everything that is done from here on in, because we've seen the way that the city council completely ignored the public, where the county commissioners, they gave it some thought and made some adjustments. And so, we're Wyoming. We're the cowboy state, all right? On our license plate, we have a buck and bronco, all right? Our state flag has a buffalo. We're very proud of the Western style of life. And for someone to come in and change it and say, well, we need islands and stuff like that, no one can explain to me what good that island down in front of the Deneen building is doing. How much did it cost? How much did it cost the taxpayers? And what does it do?
All right. Hey, Eric, great call. I'm going to let Boyd comment on that. Thanks for the call.
Yes, it's not done. At least I don't think it'll be done, and I think there's an important role for the public to play going forward. I mean, the county commission adopted 140 amendments, and I'm not entirely convinced all of them were in the best interest of property rights. For example, the county commission struck the principles and policies that had to do with limiting widening streets through established neighborhoods. To do that, often you have to take some of the property out of the front yards of people or parking from businesses. That was a policy that was in the plan, but was removed by the county commission. That is still in the plan adopted by the city. And if the city tries to reconcile its portion of the plan to the county, that would mean that maybe you'd have to either remove that or reconsider that. So there are 140 changes that happened, and a good role for the public now is to go back and look and see exactly which of those changes were made, are good for property rights and good for people, as opposed to an all-or-nothing approach as the city goes about a more deliberative process.
All right, we're talking with Boyd Wiggum here on KGAB Mornings. Your time's 8:51. We'll be back with more of your phone calls.
Join the weirdness on Coast to Coast AM, late nights on AM 650 KGAB.
And welcome back to KGAB Mornings, 8:54. In a mere 3 minutes, we got the Hannity Update coming on right here on AM 650 KGAB and KGAB.com. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're on with Boyd Wiggum. Quickly, please.
Good morning. I got one comment I think that will sum it up very well. I donate blood every couple of months, and one question that is always asked, have you been out of the country since your last donation? Yes, I went to Fort Collins. We're turning it into a socialist republic down there. That's what it looks like. I don't want that for Wyoming.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. You're not alone. Okay, Boyd, any final thoughts today as we get ready to wrap up this segment of KGAB Mornings with the Wyoming Liberty Group and Boyd Wiggum here this morning?
Well, I think that Plan Cheyenne served as a really good lesson for the people of Cheyenne and Laramie County about how to participate and be engaged in the political process appropriately and what doesn't work. When all was said and done, both the city and county adopted a plan. I've always just called Plan Cheyenne a bucket. But the input from the people that made a difference was when people talked about what was in the bucket, what was in the plan, rather than throwing the whole bucket out. And going forward, as these things come up, if you want to be an effective, engaged citizen, you need to talk to your elected officials about the specifics of what's in the bucket, the specifics of what's in the plan, the specific language that you want to change in a UDC or even a statute at the state level. And reach out. Earlier is better. Call, email, write, and be specific rather than talk about broad concepts and try to shoot something down or pass it just because of the intentions behind it.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Leave your talking points at home. If you're going to go up before a city council, because they do have an obligation before the whole city, make sure that you have the facts, you've read it, bring them up. That's always welcome in a discussion. But if you just have talking points, you know they're going to question you on it. And if you're standing there going, I don't know what else to say, that's not going to help make your case before city council, is it, Boyd?
No, I mean, stand on principle, but talk specifically about how the principle relates to the specifics before the governing body, whether it's the legislature, the city council, or the county commission. Don't waver on principle. Keep those big principles in mind.
All right, well, Boyd Wiggum, we appreciate you coming in for your weekly visit here from the Wyoming Liberty Group. And I know you're going to keep an eye on that Plan Cheyenne that's going on here in the city and in the county, right?
That's what I do.
I still think you should talk to your boss about getting a hotel for 3 months and go live in the environment that they want to bring here. That would be awesome. I'm serious. And then come back with a report and say, you know what, guys, I was wrong. It stinks. We need to do something different. Or, hey, it's not all that bad, and we'll have a discussion about that. You look a little apprehensive. Okay. All right. Boyd,
I picked Laramie County.
Boyd Wiggum, you're a great sport on KGAB Mornings, and we appreciate you coming in and giving us some of the facts and great discussion here. And if we want to find out more about you, do you have a Twitter or some kind of that out there?
Yes. We www.wideliberty.org is our website.
And now, back to KGAB Mornings with Gary Freeman on AM 650 KGAB.
And 9:09 is your time here on KGAB Mornings, and today is Friday. Your turn. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary.
Hi.
Yeah, see, I have a comment to make. We were talking about grants earlier when Boyd Wiggum was in and talking about the strings that are tied to him. For years I've been hearing especially conservatives saying we want accountability, we want to know where our federal money or our state money or county money or wherever is going, where it's being spent. Well, in the process of asking for that accountability and demanding it, the various governing agencies began to put strings on those grants.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one way that they can track whether or not that money, when it does come down to the state or local level or wherever it goes, can be tracked and find out if it's being spent for what it was supposed to be spent for.
Right.
So not all the strings are bad, and, sometimes we as the people need to be careful what we ask for, because sometimes we get it and we may not like it. I remember years ago when we kept getting asked, do you want campaign finance reform? Do you want campaign finance reform? And boy, the outcry was strong. Yes, we wanted it. Well, we got it. Do any of us like it? Not so much.
Great point, Linda. Appreciate it. Great point. That's a great point. Yeah, she's actually right. I also think we as citizens, or whether we are county commissioners or city council, governor, whatever, we have a fiscal responsibility to not accept those funds too, if we think that it's just going to continue to feed the beast and raise our taxes. Just because it's there doesn't necessarily mean it's good, but it is there, and that doesn't always necessarily mean it's bad. KGAB Mornings, good morning. It's your turn.
Hello?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, I didn't hear anything. Hey, just wanted to comment on some of the stuff the other gentleman said about how representation, people that we vote for, don't necessarily always represent our interests as much as it may be some of their own personal interests and things of that nature. And, it may even be kind of a revolutionary idea, but, with the electronics and the evolution of the digital age and stuff like that,
yep.
Maybe what this country needs to start looking at is a direct voting system to where legislatures and stuff like that are no longer necessary. You have ballot days, maybe one a month, to where people show up at the polling place, and the people, the citizens, directly vote on the bills. And if not that, then maybe a simplification process at the legislative level instead of, one bill with 63 amendments and all of the pork that goes through Washington. It's one bill, one vote.
I'll tell you
no
what would really be interesting,
riders.
too, is if they did it kind of like some of these TV series, what do they call them, American Idol, where
right.
people vote from their cell phones. and the legislators,
Yep.
they have to go with what the majority wants, which would cause the people to be more engaged and bring more accountability, because if you vote against what we told you to, there's going to be a penalty. That is that's a novel idea. I don't know if we get that going, but it'd be kind of cool to think outside the box and see what would happen on something like that.
Well, and again, the technology is present now to pull this off. I mean, when the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution, obviously, it was horse and courier and stuff like that, and it took 3 weeks to get a letter from one side of the country to the other. Now everything is instantaneous.
That's right. Hey, I got to run. All right. Thanks for the comment, and thanks for our guest, Boyd Wiggum, this morning, as well as John Frunthaway, and for all of you for making this Cheyenne's #1 News Talk Radio, AM 650 KGAB and KGAB.com. Head on down to the Home and Garden Show. Would love to shake your hand and talk to you. It's going to be a great time. We'll see you over the weekend. As usual, Monday morning's coming up. So long for now. Have a great weekend, everybody.